Steve Locke joins us now in studio. He's the inventor of the Grassometer, a product from a startup company, Monford Ag Services, that has just secured €1.25 million in new funding and will also be creating jobs like those IDA companies. Steve, literally, your invention watches grass grow. Why?
Well, grass is very important. If you're a farmer, grass is your #1 asset. You may be ultimately producing milk or beef or whatever, but your #1 asset is your grass. That's the crop that you're growing. The grass is the cheapest feed source you can give your cattle, and it's also the best.
And how does this machine work? Basically,
it's a physical device that's linked to a mobile phone using sensor technology. We measure the grass, the height of the grass. That's immediately linked back to the phone, which is then linked to the cloud, allowing farmers to share and compare their data.
And how will this make a difference to the farmers?
Well, it will help them be more efficient, and I think science is really important to farming, and will become increasingly more so because the technology that's now available allows us to measure much more. And if you think about the number of things on a farm, that you can start to measure, you can follow from the soil through the grass to what happens to the product later on.
And your big news is that you're getting investments from some very high-profile investors, among them industrial designer with roots in Apple, Jerry Manock. What's his involvement?
Yeah, well, Jerry came on board very early on. I'd been talking. We'd already been financed by Enterprise Ireland, but we'd been talking about how to build the team and what the product would be like. And one of the things that everyone was saying, wouldn't it be great if this thing worked like Apple? Everything Apple does is great. And I'd been to a meeting, we'd all been talking about Apple, and I got home and there was just by chance, there was an email from somebody with a link to this interview with this guy, Jerry Manock, who was Apple's first head of industrial design, and he set up the whole Apple design ethos. I'm reading the article and I was thinking, this guy knows exactly what I'm doing. He's built a company from nothing, or built a product from nothing, and that's who I should be talking to. And there just happened to be an email address at the bottom of the article, so I emailed him. And I didn't really expect to get a reply, but 5 minutes later, an email came back and said, this sounds interesting, tell me more. So we started exchanging emails, 3 or 4 emails a day. After about 3 weeks, he said, right, I'm in. That was the kind of catalyst, I suppose, for getting the rest of the investment. We'd already got Tom Brown, who's Ireland's biggest dairy farmer, on board. We've now got Kernel Capital, Enterprise Ireland, and Glanbia are on board as well, so it's very exciting.
And very, very briefly, jobs, and when will we see it on the farm?
Jobs as of today. We're now employing people, developers. We've also got a number of partners, Beach Electronics up in Ashbourne and G&G Engineering over in Mayo. So we're creating jobs from day one.
Okay, Steve Locke, thank you very much for joining us in studio this morning.